Okay. So, can I use Ozor? How can I use Ozor? If you just want to look around, download software, read the news items, no registration is required, just go type in ozor.eu and you will be there. On the other hand, if you want to Ozor, for example, if you want to publish your own software, you have to read the 10 principles of Ozor, and your project has to be aligned with those principles. So what are those principles? The two most important are, you have the 10 principles on the ozor.eu site, but the two most important are that your project has to be an open source project, and also the documentation has to be published under an open source shareable license, and it has to be funded by a public administration. So we do not host generic tools. We host something which was needed by a public administration, so they put some money into it. So what's in it for me? If you're just a user, you can save time and money by not reinventing the wheel, not redeveloping the same application, but if possible, try to reuse what's already being developed. You can get legal and practical guidelines. Not only written guidelines, but we also have a legal expert whom you can ask some questions, and he will reply, for example, what license to use, whether I can use mix different licenses, and so on. You can participate in communities, and of course we provide a number of news events so you can be up to date, get OSS related content, for example, around events such as this. If you're a contributor, if you have a project to share, an application to share, we provide you visibility. We have 30,000 users, 30,000 visitors per month who read or who come and visit our repository. You can focus on your project rather than solving technical problems. As I said, we provide a number of tools. We post your project so you can focus on your project. And you can collaborate with others on developing your solution. Some statistics. So where are we right now? We launched Ozor in 2008 October. Currently we have 185 projects. Through the national repositories, another 2,000 is visible and searchable. We have around 30,000 unique visitors per month, and we have applications which were downloaded altogether around 200,000 times. And I want to introduce, and if you want, have some other questions, of course I will be here after the presentation, but you have also fact sheets around Ozor, and you can contact us at any time. I want to discuss one more thing, the European Union public license. It's an open source license which was developed by the European Commission. And the reason it was developed because, of course, the Commission wanted to publish its own software under an open source license. And when it looked around, we had a study to check whether there were any licenses out there which we could use. And of course, the end result of the study was that none of that was good enough for the Commission. It's always like this, you spend a lot of money and then you realize that you want to develop your own. So now you have literally thousands of open source licenses around, out of which a good 200 is accepted as open source by the OSI, the Open Source Initiative. It's a non-profit organization. So we have a lot of open source licenses. So what was the reasoning of developing yet another one? Well, EUKL, of course, is different. First of all, it takes into account the specificity of copyright in different member states, the specificities of liability and warranties, because, for example, GPL is based on US legislation and not really on European Union legislation. And also, it's available in 22 different languages of the European Union, European countries, and which bear the same legal value. To tell you why it was important to develop it is, And of course, it's certified by OSI, this non-profit organization, so it's accepted as open source license. I would just like to tell you an anecdote why it was important to develop this open source license. In the city of Munich, the administration wanted to publish an application for Walmart, and they fought with their legal department for, I think, half a year or 1 year. They wanted to publish it under GPL, and the legal department said no. And when the UPL was published in 2009, it took them 2 weeks to discuss it with the legal department, and it was very easy to publish it under the UPL license. Of course, it was an original application, so there were no problems with conflicts between licenses. Okay, so if you're aware of any open source projects that your administration has developed, or you're as a company work for public administration, then please contact us. If you have any questions on how to publish it, we have our legal support. We can provide you legal advices. You can either contact me, but it's quite difficult to memorize my email address, so I urge you to contact the ozo.eu service. And that was it. So if you have any questions, yes?
I would like to present a me question. Most of open source world is moving to distributed version control system. We are moving away from SVN. Do you have also plans to upgrade the infrastructure from the technical perspective?
Yes, in fact, ozo.eu is based on the GForge and the clone, and now we have 3 different collaborative platforms based on, of course, 3 different architecture. And one of the action of the Commission is to provide one architecture under which all these collaborative platforms can be supported. And work has already been started. We expect that next year we will have a new platform for the administrations. And now we are checking out actually what kind of services we should provide under it. So it's an open question. We would want to provide more and more services. So for example, if GITS is more supported than SVN, yes, we will check it out and we'll try to provide it. Thank you. Yes?
I read through the UPL licensing and I didn't quite understand. If a project or a solution is developed under UPL, could it include commercial components or it should not?
Well, if it's published under EUPL, it has to be available. It's an open source license, so you cannot get any. It has to be free. It has to be modifiable. It has to be reusable and redistributable. So you cannot, for example, ask royalties for your project. I don't know if I understood it correctly. So it has to be free. On the other hand, if you're working together with different public institutions, of course, you can share the initial cost of developing such an application. Yes.
I mean, core technology. Application servers, integration tools.
Yes. For example, if it's integrated with the application, so for example, if it doesn't work with. Let me give you an example. What about providing an open source solution based on Windows, which is a property, or based on a SQL, MS SQL database? So we say that it's possible. So you can have an application distributed under an EUPL license, which requires some kind of component to be run on, such as operating system or database system. We have some examples for this, although we urge users and administrations to try to develop something which doesn't require such components. But from a legal point of view, it's possible. Of course, for example, if it's an artificial thing, so for example, if you have a software and it doesn't work without having a small component that you have to buy, it's really against the spirit of providing the software on an open source license. under. I don't know if I understand your question correctly. Okay.
I continue the same question. I was very much puzzled and interested of this EUPL. Is it like more like GPL or more like PSD? What kind of?
It's more like GPL. It's a left copied license.
Okay.
Yeah, you have actually a guideline on the EUPL and also the EUPL license in all languages as well. So if you're interested, you can pick up a copy. It's more like GPL. The difference of, for example, there's another characteristic for EUPL that I didn't mention, that it has a compatibility clause, which means that if you develop something under an EUPL license and someone wants to modify it and redistribute it, he or she can distribute it under, for example, a GPL license, which is in the compatibility list. So EUPL allows you to change the license to another compatible license, which in this sense it's totally different from all the other.
This is very different from most licenses.
Yeah, it's different from all the licenses. So actually, we didn't want to just compete with them. We wanted to work together with other licenses. We have, I think, 5 compatible licenses so far. It doesn't work the other way around. So GPL is said that they are not compatible with the EUPL. Yes. Were to be redistributed under a license, of course, the answer is clear. You can do it. In case you work with a copyleft license, I don't think it's possible. It's not possible. For example, GPL version 2, version 3 doesn't allow redistribution under a different license. Double licensing is possible, or if the original license, or if you have an original work, of course, it's possible. If you have a redistribution, it's not possible. But EUPL, sorry, I don't think that EUPL will be a generic license for not only for public administrations but for all the world. There's no need for it. On the other hand, for public administrations, sometimes it can be very helpful for original work.
And I had a question about this repository. Which are the most popular packages right now that people have mostly downloaded?
Well, I have here a list of the 5 most important ones, or most popular ones. Saxanta is a GIS application. GIS actually it's a library which can be used by, for example, the GBC desktop. So the first 2 are GIS related applications. The Walmart is kind of it's a plugin under OpenOffice with which you can have templates based on database. So for example, you can have your own letters, notes, whatever, based on data coming from a database. Interface, very good question. It's a French application, I know, but I don't know what it is. I should, it's a shame. But my personal favorite, for example, is an application that you cannot find on SourceForge. It's an application to manage cemeteries. I mean, you cannot buy this on the market, and they have almost 100 different public administrations reusing it, also French, but also in Belgium. It's an interesting way to collaborate.